Hey, Pop. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Thanks for asking that question all the way from California, Wes. As you do know, I was born here in Tucson and grew up Midtown, where my folks, your grandparents, still live, and was very active in the community. My parents taught me a great deal about what it means to be part of community, both the church community and the broader community. Grew up playing a lot of soccer, and attended various schools here in the area. Peter Howell School, this is all Midtown stuff. Vale, which is right around the corner from where we live now, and then eventually Rincon. And Rincon had just, a few years prior to my going there, had joined with University High School. And that's where I met your mom. She was a year ahead of me at University High School, and I went to Rincon, like I said, and we met in stage crew, of all things, and continued to build a friendship, and then started dating, and eventually, well, that's pretty clear what happened eventually, I guess.
Hey Dad, I have a question for you. Where have you lived throughout your life, and why did you choose to live in those places?
Well, thanks for asking, Elliot. So you do know, of course, we lived in Massachusetts, because that's where you and your older brother were born. And then you also know that we lived in California, a couple of different places, Long Beach and Riverside. And then, of course, coming back to Tucson. But way back, and after high school, I moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, to go to Hamline University. And the reason why I selected Hamline University is because I was following a young woman who was headed off to McAllister there in St. Paul, and I didn't think I'd get into McAllister, so I went to the closest place, 2.5 miles down the road. And I was not invited to follow her. She was a year ahead of me. We had dated, but it seems to have worked out because, of course, that's your mom. So from here to St. Paul, then to Massachusetts. We lived in Boston and a couple of the surrounding towns. And that's where we got active in Unitarian Universalism. And then we moved back across the country, thanks to your mom's work as an environmental scientist and geologist, to California, where we were living in Long Beach because we wanted to be closer to family back here in Tucson. Both of our grandparents were getting on in age, and we just wanted to be closer to them. And then eventually the Riverside congregation, and I think you remember Riverside pretty well when we lived there. And then that led to coming back to Tucson after 22 years.
Hey, what's up, Dad? The people over at Mountain Vista want to know a little about our family. Why don't you let them know?
Thanks, Grayson. I think the basis of our family, the core of our family, is your mom, Stephanie. She really is the glue that holds all of us together, and is a wonderful and amazing woman, all in her own right. But there wouldn't be a big family. There wouldn't be 5 boys if it wasn't for her. And we wouldn't be homeschooling if it wasn't for her. She had many visions and saw a lot further than I ever did when we were younger, and could see how important a family would be to both of us, and that's come to be very true. Now, Wesley, our oldest, is a firefighter paramedic in Huntington Beach, California. Elliot is a software designer. You are a student and work at Dutch Bros. And your younger brothers, Robin and Magnus, are quite active artists. They do 4-H, and we are extraordinarily blessed to be in the midst of a great deal of family and friends. Both Stephanie and I grew up here in Tucson, and so our families are here. Our parents, our siblings, and our extended family are all here, either in Tucson or in southern Arizona. And so we feel really connected and held by family and friends.
Why did you choose ministry?
That's a good question, Robin. I've always felt that ministry chose me, that I was called to it. I was raised in Tucson at the United Methodist Church that your grandparents still go to. You've been there once or twice. The theology didn't catch, but they taught me that religion was about service, and that did stick with me. When I went away to college, to the university, I double majored in religion and anthropology because I had a deep interest in faith. I thought I would teach religion, but my professors in anthropology were constantly trying to get me to stop believing things that I was learning. And honestly, that was the most inspiring thing about studying religion, was the different beliefs that people had, and how it really clarified for me what was true in language that was clearer than I had grown up with. It wasn't until I had graduated from university that I really felt a clear call to ministry. And it was something of a visionary experience where I was working at a cafe, and there were what I perceived to be a couple and a minister talking together. It turned out that's not who those people were, but I really wanted to be that minister. And I had this vision of sorts of serving a community, a broad community of lots of people through all of the aspects of life. And that became, for me, my call and is my vocation.
What are you passionate about outside of ministry?
Well, as you know, Magnus, I have a lot of interests outside of ministry. The ones I'm most passionate about involve you and your brothers, which range from the games, the game closet that we have that is overflowing, the games that we are attached to, Magic the Gathering, the collectible card game, miniature games like Warhammer 40K, the Grimdark Future, and including, Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, Dungeons and Dragons. We enjoy playing all those together, and honestly, it's a way I stay connected with you and have fun myself. We still play, as you very well know, all of us together, your brothers, your 5 brothers, and your 4 brothers, and you, and there's nothing better than that for me, than to have that connection with you still. I am very, very interested in laughter yoga, which I've been sharing with my congregation and with the Baja 4. I'm also quite fascinated with cosplay, and you know this as well. Cosplay being that costume play that we've been very active with the steampunk group here in Tucson, and in particular the Wild Wild West Steampunk Convention, which had been postponed, and then Old Tucson Studios closed. Now the studio's open and they're planning the next convention. So I'm excited to get back into making costumes with you all, finding what inspires us. My favorite costume would be Steampunk Green Goblin, to go opposite your brothers when they do Steampunk Spider-Man. There's something about that mask that is very freeing, and I would have spent entire weekends of the Steampunk Convention lumbering around the Old Tucson Studios as the Green Goblin, the Steampunk Green Goblin.